Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this because today we're looking at a massive systemic issue hiding in plain sight right on our supermarket shelves. We're talking about the Great Indian Food Deception. Now, this explainer is based on a really fascinating deep dive conversation between two incredible creators, Food Farmer and Trustified. You can kind of think of them as these modern-day Davids going toe-to-toe with the massive FMCG Goliaths. They've literally been pulling back the curtain on the false reality marketed to us by giant food companies. And honestly, what they've found is absolutely shocking.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll unpack the Indian food crisis, then expose the hidden scams in our daily staples, and bust the healthy junk food myth. After that, we're going to look at how these FMCG giants battle creators, and finally, wrap up with the label reading revolution so you know how to protect your family. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. The Indian Food Crisis, a Universal Problem.
Moving on to Section 2. Scams in daily staples. Why trusting our basic foods has become so hard. All right, the harsh truth here is that whether you're scraping by or you're a literal billionaire, almost nobody actually knows if what they're eating is safe. Trusting our basic, everyday ingredients, it's become an absolute gamble. And what's really wild is the sheer variety of adulteration happening across completely different food categories. Let's look at honey. Companies are actually using Chinese C3 and C4 sugar syrups. Why? Because they're specifically designed to evade basic Indian testing standards. So, unless your honey undergoes an expensive NMR test, you're essentially just feeding your family pure sugar syrup. No way, right? Well, then consider milk pouches. Our creators did a sting operation and found a massive temperature abuse. Instead of being stored at that required 4 to 5 degrees, milk pouches were just left sitting around until they reached 18 to 25 degrees. That is a perfect breeding ground for dangerous bacteria and toxins before the milk even reaches your doorstep. We're also seeing ghee contaminated with pesticides and cheap oils, and analog paneer heavily laced with palm oil instead of actual dairy. It's like a giant puzzle of deception.
So how do we actually navigate this mess? Well, the sources give us some super practical steps. First up, for vulnerable family members, like kids, pregnant women, or the elderly, opt for Tetra Pak milk. That helps you completely avoid the dangerous temperature abuse we just talked about. Second, for you vegetarians looking for real protein, always choose high-protein, low-fat paneer, so you can dodge those palm oil-filled analog versions. Third, totally ignore the myth that an orange yolk means a healthier egg. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a marketing gimmick, where companies just feed synthetic pigments to the hens to change the color. Nutritionally, it's identical to a pale yolk. And fourth, if you're buying honey, only trust premium brands that explicitly say they pass NMR testing.
Section 3. The Healthy Junk Food Myth, or rather, health washing scams.
Now, this is where companies employ a sneaky little tactic called health washing. Basically, they take inherently unhealthy junk food and market it as a nutritional powerhouse. And this brilliantly illustrates the deception. The front of the pack for this really popular cashew cookie shows a child's tiffin box literally full of cashews, right? It's marketed as a premium healthy nut cookie, which leads well-meaning parents to feed their kids these harmful products instead of actual healthy meals. But if you flip it over, the back of pack reality tells a totally different story. The primary ingredient is actually just refined wheat flour, or maida.
And you might be wondering, what's the actual cashew content in these heavily marketed cookies? A shocking 1.4%. You are literally buying refined flour dressed up with a health halo of nuts that barely even exist in the product.
Okay, here's another classic example. Look at this famous syrups marketing. It proudly claims to have no fat, no cholesterol, and the goodness of herbs. Naturally, people view this as a healthy, traditional herbal drink. But the reality? It's essentially just liquid sugar. And the marketing is incredibly manipulative here. Sugar is a carbohydrate, so yeah, naturally, it has no fat. Plus, plant-based foods never have cholesterol to begin with. They're literally just stating the obvious to trick you into believing it's a health drink. Mind-blowing, right?
Then we have the infamous Atta noodles. The marketing leverages green packaging because green is a color we instantly psychologically associate with health and nature, and it boasts having the fiber of 3 rotis. The source material actually shares a heartbreaking story about a mother who stopped giving her child real roti and vegetables for dinner, replacing it with Atta Maggi because the packaging completely convinced her it was equivalent. But the reality is that it still contains maida. And worst of all, a single pack can contain up to 1,200 milligrams of sodium. When you realize our daily limit is around 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams, one single pack nearly maxes out a child's entire daily allowance.
To put this routine consumption into perspective, just think about this number for a second: 1,400.
If a person eats just 2 biscuits in the morning and 2 in the evening, they are eating 1,400 biscuits a year. We will spend hours researching a t-shirt that we might wear 10 times, but we won't spend 2 minutes checking the label of a biscuit we eat 1,400 times a year. And surprisingly, some popular plain biscuits actually have more added sugar per 100 grams than a Kit Kat. But, because they're called biscuits and not chocolates, we just eat them completely guilt-free.
Section 4. Battling the FMCG giants and the true cost of telling the truth.
So, what happens when independent creators start pointing out these hard facts? Well, the corporate blowback is immediate, and it is severe. Just look at this quote from the source. One creator was straight up told, "Take 70 locks right away or the goons will come inside." They were even shown videos of thugs sitting in SUVs right outside their apartment floor. The companies presented a simple, terrifying choice: take a massive bribe to delete your exposure video or face physical violence.
And the financial temptations they throw at these guys are staggering. Another creator, who at the time was really struggling financially, was told, "We will give you 1 BMW and 35,000 rupees a month just to say it's a good protein." This was offered by a brand whose protein powder claimed to be 70% protein on the tub, but independent lab tests revealed it was actually only 14%. Imagine turning that down.
But when the creators refused those bribes, the retaliation was just brutal. Tactics involved multi-crore defamation suits, ranging up to 25 crores, specifically designed to bankrupt them. They faced hacked Twitter accounts to delete their followers, companies paying 18-year-olds to read negative PR scripts against them online, and even threatening the raw material suppliers if they try to start their own honest brands. So the crucial point is that these FMCG giants cannot fight the facts legally because the creators are telling the truth, right? So instead, they try to destroy the creators' reputations and mental health.
Section 5. The Label Reading Revolution, and how this sparked a massive consumer movement.
Despite the crazy lawsuits and the actual goons, these creators refused to back down. Instead of staying quiet, they channeled their experiences into educating the public, sparking a massive nationwide consumer movement that just spread like wildfire. It started with a simple rap song for a campaign called Label Padega India, which was designed to make reading ingredient lists cool for the youth. Quickly, major celebrities and Olympic athletes like Abhinav Bindra jumped on board. Then the creator's sugar board concept, which visually shows exactly how much sugar is in popular drinks, became so incredibly effective that the CBSE actually mandated these boards across schools. Finally, it reached the highest office, with Prime Minister Modi personally praising the initiative on his Mann Ki Baat broadcast. It literally became the second largest consumer awareness campaign in India's history. And guess what? The public pressure is undeniably working. We are seeing real, tangible industry changes. Because of this newfound consumer awareness, giant brands are being forced to adapt. A massive ketchup brand reduced its sugar content by 22%. A legacy 75-year-old milk mix brand finally launched a zero added sugar version. And in one incredible instance, a pharma brand leader, upon realizing their raw material supplier had actually scammed them, completely destroyed 50 lakhs worth of fake vegan omega inventory rather than selling it to the public. The Goliaths are finally blinking. So, this brings us to the absolute most important part of this explainer. How can you protect your family? Now that you know the marketing on the front of the box is so often just an illusion designed to trick you, how do you take your health into your own hands?
The answer is incredibly simple, guys. Read the back of the pack. Label Padega India. Always check the ingredients list. Look out for the hidden sugars, the insanely high sodium, and those fake health claims. We've seen exactly how far these companies will go to silence the truth just to protect their profits. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. The next time you are standing in the supermarket aisle, surrounded by all those bright colors and healthy promises, who are you really going to trust with your food? A multi-billion-dollar marketing machine or your own 2 eyes? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay informed.